Hello, and thank you for being here at my YouTube channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges. I'm an advocate for OCD, in particular, Pure OCD, which is the community name for individuals who live with intrusive thoughts and mental rituals. It's also the name of my memoir. Yay! This matches me right now. The Invisible Side of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. It talks about my experience with Pure OCD. I also am a peer support specialist. I work with people all over the world to help normalize what you are going through when you're living with OCD. Help meet you where you're at, and I can also provide referrals for therapists who can help just anywhere in the world. Now, NoCD is an app, and they also do treatment via telehealth. That's exposure response prevention. If you want to find out more about what they do and sign up for an assessment, head on over to treatmyocd.com. And if you are here for the first time, or if you've been watching my videos, make sure you subscribe. I am trying to do a video per week, and also I have a bunch of really cool stuff coming up here soon, and I definitely want you to be part of it. I think it's going to help you along in your journey of living with OCD. So today I wanted to talk about something that is kind of going off of what I talked about last week, which was when you have thoughts and you read things about OCD and it says, well, when you have OCD, you'll never act on them. And then you start to get in your head about what acting on means, maybe because you're doing compulsions or maybe because you're testing yourself or doing those things. I've gotten a lot of emails and messages, and not just since the video, but I get them a lot from people going, well, what if you have done things before you got the theme? Then all of a sudden it feels like, oh my goodness, I acted on that previously, so that must mean the theme is real. So this is a type of this is mentally reviewing. And so the best way that I can describe that is that when you have a theme for OCD, your brain is scouring everything that has happened in your life to try to find proof that the theme is real or not, right? And so what's going to happen is things that you may not even remember from years and years and years ago, or maybe you do, I mean, either way, start to come to the surface, and they make you question, well, this happened when I was younger, or this happened when I was older, and what does that mean? If I did this, does this make the theme real? So I just want to walk through a couple examples of this, and to also just let you know, this is really normal for your brain when you get a theme to start mentally reviewing everything you've ever done, thought, experienced, acted on, anything like that, in an effort to try to go, oh my goodness, is this proof? This can be really torturing. Not only are some of these things that we have actually done when at the time maybe there wasn't even any threat of an intrusive thought, but it also can lead to false memories, which is another theme of OCD. It can be really tormenting for people, meaning you're not remembering things correctly. And even you're making up things that may have happened and you don't know what's real or not. And a lot of times when we're mentally reviewing, we're doing that same thing. We're looking back on a situation that happened and we're not able to process it by what actually occurred or what your mindset may have been or any of that, because you are in a panic mode looking at what this meant. So let's just walk through a few examples. As you know in my videos, I'm not going to be able to touch on every single example that this could happen. So if you're looking for me to say something specific and I don't touch on it, it doesn't mean that it still doesn't apply. But I'm going to give you the most common examples that I hear when I get emails from people and when people talk to me about how mentally reviewing the past, now that you have a theme, can give you evidence. See how I put that in air quotes? It is not actual evidence, but we look at it as evidence that, oh my goodness, the theme might be real. And this completely correlates with if you have OCD, you don't act on the thoughts. And if you have done something that feels like it supports the theme you have now, you're going to go, this must mean it's not OCD, which is a very big secondary fear that many of us have. a lot of people may have sexual experimentation when they are younger and or as an adult. I mean, we're free human beings, right? And sometimes things happen or you willingly explore stuff or it's child's play. You know, I had several experiences in my childhood where I was like, what? Like as an adult, but when you're a kid, you don't know what you're doing. It's mostly exploration. Some of it's really healthy exploration. And then there's also exploration that's not healthy. Those are things that can also contribute to your themes and going, well, this happened and that must mean, or did I act on something, or did I enjoy it, or did I allow it to happen? And that way it might mean the theme is real or these intrusive thoughts are real. I just want to point that out. You know, sometimes it can just be healthy exploration when you're a child, an adolescent, or even an adult as an adult, but it could also be something that you were coerced into. It can also be abuse, things that may happen to you that you are reflecting and mentally reviewing now and trying to figure out what it meant. Trying to figure out, because I mean, if we just take this over here for a second, abuse and coercion is so traumatizing anyway, and it is so hard to conceptualize as an adult to try to understand what was going on, all the questions around it. And so when you experience that and then you throw OCD into the mix, it can be really, really, really hard. But just know that those experiences can absolutely get in the mix when you are trying to work out a theme and you're going, is this proof or is this not? So in moving forward on the video, I'm going to talk mainly about when people are just exploring healthily or just child's play, things like that, even though I want to acknowledge that if you have had an abusive or a coercive situation, it can also impact. So many of us had weird, bizarre exploration as kids, right? Maybe with family, or maybe with playmates, or maybe with even your teenage friends. And at the time, it didn't seem like that big of a deal, or at the time, it may have seemed fucked up. I don't know, but you just didn't have your faculties, or you didn't know how to respond, and it happened, and then boom, you get intrusive thoughts later, and you go, uh-oh. You know, let's say, you know, something happened between you and a cousin, and you kissed or something, or showed each other things, areas. You know, you might think to yourself, uh-oh, my cousin was younger than me. Did I do something? Did I force it? Does that mean I'm a pedophile? Things like that. You might look at those situations that were seemingly innocent, seemingly this is just kind of what you did one Christmas when all the cousins were together and whatever. And that might all of a sudden become really conflicted with you needing to figure out why you have this theme now and what that means in the process of that. I mean, you know, an example for me is, you know, someone when I was a kid showed me Playboy magazines when I was way too young to see them, right? And so I remember seeing them, and I mean, I remember it all because it was very shocking. I'd never seen anything like that before. I think they were I don't think they were Playboy. I think they were Penthouse, because everything was showing. I remember like looking at like the woman like spread. I was like, whoa, like that's what that looks like, you know. And I remember getting this heated feeling of holy crap, like sex, you know, like that's the epitome of thinking about sex. There's someone's naked, there's this or there's that. And then later on when I got sexual orientation OCD, that memory that I had completely forgotten about came rushing in like a freight train. You remember when you saw that magazine and all of a sudden you had this flush of heat? That must mean that's what you want. You know, when in reality, I was a 5 or 6 year old kid looking at something that was sexual, and I hadn't even developed any of that at this point. So that my OCD used that against me, and used many situations that had happened in my childhood and in my adolescence to try to prove or disprove. Harm is the same thing. You know, harm is, you know, when you're getting harm thoughts, especially if it's about other people or if it's about animals, you may start mentally reviewing things that you did as a kid. I killed ants. I remember taking pleasure in killing that cockroach. Well, lots of people take pleasure in killing cockroaches because they're gross. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, it's not, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But you may think back and go, I wanted to do that. And is that deviant behavior? Does that mean that I wanted to kill? And so then that just spirals into, I must, it first starts when you're killing insects and then you're hurting animals, even though you may have never even hurt an animal ever. For example of this, when I've had harm OCD before, with my last dog, I remember there was a really stressful time and she was really misbehaving. And I remember I spanked her on her butt, right? And when I got harm OCD after that, I mentally reviewed spanking her and thought, oh my gosh, I wanted to, I probably hurt her, even though I did not hurt her. She was fine and needed her little butt spanked, right? But my brain said, you're capable of this, so you're hurting animals, and the next is you're gonna hurt humans. Which made me panic because I thought, what if at some point I did have kids and then I wanted to beat them? So it went into this spiral when all that was going on is it was mentally reviewing things, looking for proof here and there. So harm, sexual intrusive thoughts, the incest intrusive thoughts can be huge on this because just face it. Sometimes you go to family gatherings and when you're young with your cousins or whatever else, little Johnny over there might show you his penis, in private or something. And then you might think to yourself, oh my God, did I want to see it? And so does that mean I'm attracted to family? So any of these things, right or wrong, y'all. So don't come on here saying oh my God, you're saying it's okay for, little Johnny to show his penis. Don't go there, please. This is not about that. This is about normal situations that happen to kids, adolescents, and even adults that are choices or that situations we get ourselves in that later on we're mentally reviewing that are now going, uh-oh, this must mean something, right? And this also goes with healthy sexual exploration. As teens and as adults, maybe you have explored in areas where you just wanted to, or again, it could have been coerced. You were put in that situation, and now you're having sexual orientation theme, and now you're going back and looking at that and meaning, or thinking, there must be some truth to that if I did this. This is part of the process of OCD in mentally reviewing. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up, again, there's so much. You could probably take your theme and look at anything in your childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and go, when I didn't have the theme, this happened, or I thought this. I mean, porn is a huge one, by the way, porn and fantasies, right? So if you're watching porn, there's a specific type of porn you like, or a specific fantasy while you're having sex or while you're masturbating, and that was your go-to for a full year. And then later on, you get this intrusive thought about X, Y, and Z, and you think, oh my God, I orgasm to that, or I watch that kind of porn. What does that mean? That must mean there was something, some underlying thing. So that's a big one too. And then lastly, people as we grow and mature, we typically gain new opinions about things. We learn about the world. We learn about different cultures. We learn about different ways of believing, like religion or non-religion or things like that. And sometimes when we're younger, we hold beliefs that we were just taught either in our culture or by our family. Well, then when we grow up and we mature and gain our own beliefs, we go, uh-oh, I was a real closed-minded asshole. Not that your beliefs even hurt anyone, but even just thinking those things, or that you were capable of believing those things, can really mess with your OCD. Because then all of a sudden you go, uh-oh, what if I still believe that? What if I haven't changed? What if I haven't matured? Why did I believe that at some point? What does that mean about me? Did I ever assert that belief? Those can be traps too. So just know that there are lots of things that we have done in our lives before we get a theme, during a theme, after a theme, whatever, that can really attribute to our mentally reviewing what that means and can really get us stuck in the cycle. I want you to know that it is, probably one of the most emails that I get is about sexual exploration. People that have explored sexually, whether that be in porn or whether it be with other people or multiple people or BDSM, lots of things where they go, this must mean my themes have a bullet, right? Because I have explored that before, or I even, enjoyed it or orgasm to it, things like that. So I just really wanted to do this video. I know it's a vulnerable video, but it's not talked about enough. And you really need to know that you're not alone in this, because it's really common. And as y'all know, I'm just going to throw it out there too. I mean, you can even mentally review of like, if you were having sex 6 months ago and all of a sudden, like peak of the orgasm, you think of a kid, right? And then you're trying to forget it, but then it comes up every time, boom, you're mentally reviewing. Well, you had an orgasm and you thought about this, or you thought about a family member, so that must mean you really want incest. All of these things can be part of that mental review process that can really keep you stuck. So just want you to know you're not alone in this. And I hope this resonates with you, and I hope that you can feel in some way like, okay, this is just one more part of the OCD process, and I can take steps in order to get the compulsive piece under control, which would be controlling the mental reviewing and stopping that. It's not going to feel good. It's always going to feel like that question that needs to be solved, but such is OCD, right? So I hope you have a great week. Thanks for being here. If you're looking for peer support services or referral consultations, head on over to ChrissyHodges.com. I'll put it in the description. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.